Hey folks, well, I've officially made it through the first 3 weeks of my time at home with my mom and dad in rural Nova Scotia, Canada, and I just wanted to let you know that the vacation is going great. No, it's all good. I'm here in my childhood bedroom, which needless to say has been zhuzhed up a little bit by my mom over the 20 or so years since I left. For instance, the Spice Girls posters are gone. She's burned the mountain of crusty tube socks under the bed and instead has put around a lot of very flowery doilies and little jars of potpourri. So the room smells slightly different than it did when it was home base for this teenage boy. And we'll leave it at that. But I wanted to do this little video not only to give you some insight into the incredibly sophisticated design sensibilities of my parents, but also my mom and dad, they're getting a bit older, they're in their early 80s, and they've started asking me, Ben, what would you like to have when we pass away? And while I hope that won't happen anytime soon, I wanted to do this video to put it out there on the internet for my 6 siblings, what exactly I expect to get out of this estate, and if they want any of these items, you better lawyer up, bitches. So this is my little video called This Is My Inheritance. Now, if you ever met my mom and dad, you know they're the kind of people who don't take shit from anybody, and I want things in my life that will remind me of that fierce independence. For example, this novelty sign from the rear entry of my mom and dad's house, it says, what happens at grandma's stays at grandma's. Like, is my mom running an underground nightclub? Is this Berghain? Is this some kind of exclusive VIP joint where Beyonce is gonna be walking in the door? What the hell's going on here? This is a magnet from my mother's fridge. Grandma's house, if you're here, you're getting hugged. Is it just me, or do I have to have a discussion with my mother about consent? Okay. And also, it's a pandemic. Social distancing, people. My mom's 83 years old. She's in a risk group. This is not appropriate. Finally, in my mom's kitchen, next to like her teacup and denture bath, there's this agenda where it just says on the title, Boss Lady. Who is this woman? Is she listening to Lizzo, Megan Thee Stallion? Is she down there doing TikTok dances to Body Yaddy Yaddy? What is going on here? Now, I'm the youngest of 7 kids and the only gay kid in the family. So needless to say, I'm the only person with any sense of style. It's my cross to bear. So one of my priorities with my parents' belongings is I want to claim back all the shit that I bought for them over the years. Because I found out recently, for example, one of my nieces was here at Christmas time. She's like, oh, that Christmas ornament on the tree is really pretty. It was a Christmas ornament that I gave my mom and dad. And mom's like, here, take it. I'm watching you. Is that niece? If you're watching, I'm coming to get that ornament. I have no idea what this is called in German. I just call it like Christmas wooden candle fire death trap. That's what I tend to refer to this thing as. My mom and dad have actually been using it. I'm quite terrified. I think I'm gonna take those candles out before I leave, because I'll be having nightmares that they're gonna burn down the house. And also an example of something which I bought them to bring a little bit of, you know, to elevate things a bit here in this house as much as I can. This little groundhog, which is light activated. It's outside normally, and I got it at Bauhaus, I believe, in Germany. One of a kind. Now, of course, one of the most unpleasant things that happens when loved ones pass away is everyone's fighting over the money, and that's going to be an inevitable problem in my family as well. So I've already started to identify the high value items in the house. I might actually put them in my luggage when I go back to Germany this time, just not tell anybody. For example, everyone knows autographed items are really big. You can sell them on eBay. This is a ticket for a show signed by a very famous Canadian by the name of, it's not Alanis Morissette, it's not Avril Lavigne. Those signatures would be nothing in comparison to the signature from Tommy Hunter. He used to host a weekly variety show on public television. There's people out there who are going to pay millions for that. And most of my stuffed animals growing up have been thrown away by my parents, but this one made it through, and it's a collector's item. It is a Cabbage Patch doll named Silas, which I cherished. I believe he has a signature on his bum. That may have been where I got my interest in tattoos, and he smells like baby powder, which is probably toxic. If you've ever been to my apartment in Berlin, you know I strive for a very minimalistic design aesthetic. It's kind of a little thing we do at Potsdamer Platz in Berlin. So if I'm having anything I'm gonna get from my parents, it has to be very streamlined. For instance, the toilet paper princess doll. Not only is she beautiful, not only is she handmade, but she gets you out of a very unpleasant situation. Why water your plants with normal, boring IKEA plant water when instead you could have this baby, which is a conversation piece. It makes a statement, and that statement is, I want a frog vomiting water onto my plants. Finally, this is probably the most sought after item in my parents' collection. You've heard of a cheeky monkey. Have you heard of a cheeky squirrel? So this lamp is playful, anatomically correct, and strangely suggestive. Eat your heart out, Antiques Roadshow. Now, for most of this video, I've been recording it in my bedroom, because mostly I've been afraid that my mother would be listening the whole time with her ear to the door. I'm telling you, she probably was, because she is creepy like that. Mom, I love you, but knock it off. Anyhow, there's one thing I will not live without after my parents pass and all of the millions come down in the will, and that is their Encyclopedia Britannica. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this, Encyclopedia Britannica was this scam back in like the 70s and 80s where salespeople would go door to door and guilt parents into spending thousands of dollars, which was an incredible amount of money at the time, to buy these quickly outdated printed encyclopedias. But you know, they'd be like, if you don't spend this money, your child will be an absolute failure in life, right? So needless to say, I think in my family's case, the investment paid off because I'm a flight attendant, so I don't want to brag. Everything went incredibly according to plan, but I wanted to read to you from one of the world's best printed encyclopedias what it has to say about one of my favorite topics, a little thing I like to call homosexuality. So in here it says homosexuality, also called sexual inversion, like upside down sex, which I have nothing against if you do it right. It says it's the sexual attraction of a person to one of the same sex. This deviation, Entschuldigung, excuse me, this deviation usually, but not always, leads to physical contact culminating in orgasm. Not with some of the men I've dated. So folks, that was a look at some of the most prestigious, unique, and needless to say, incredibly valuable items in my parents' extensive collection. I'm going to go back to looking at some of the other treasures here in my parents' house. For example, this photo of Ben as a baby, Ben as a closeted teenager, and Ben as a 20-year-old virgin graduating university. May it haunt your dreams. Take care.